What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our Build Your Own House series. We are out on the site today. Our foundation forms are set up and we're gonna give you a quick run around, see what those look like, call out a couple of things to make sure that you check before concrete is poured. And then once this is poured and stripped, we'll bring you back out and show you a few of the things we do to the foundation before it gets backfilled. If you're new to the channel and you don't know what I'm talking about with the Build Your Own House series, we're taking you through the process of building a home from start to finish, all the way from land selection to engineering, house design, ground break, foundation, through all the way till you have certificate of occupancy. Kind of use this as a tool if you're gonna build your own house, or even if you were going to have somebody build a house for you. There's some really good information that we'll be sharing with you to kind of help you along that journey. We are ready to rock. You guys were out on the last video. You saw all the footings. You saw all the measurements we took to make sure that they were good and that they were all in the right location. And we showed you guys that we had all the wall locations and straight lines snapped in chalk, so they knew where to set them. And then what they do is they come in and they build everything. And as you might imagine, you can't just slap it together and hope for the best, because you can have a wall that's tilted in or tilted out, and then you're no longer square. So they start with string lines, which you can see strung all over the place. Those are strung in a square, and then they take all of their measurements off of those square lines. So now we know we have a foundation that is square at the top and square at the bottom, because they squared it on the bottom with the chalk lines first, built it, squared it on the top, and you're good to go. One critical thing I want to call out that we have had go wrong a couple times, and that is your beam pockets. That little blue thing there, that is where a I-beam is going to sit, and it's gonna run along and land in an I-beam on the other side of the wall. We've had those end up a foot over from where they're supposed to be, and then you have to come back, fill them, saw cut new ones in. So we have made it a point now, every foundation, we have to stamp our approval on the forms before they can pour. And that is one of the things we're checking, is the location for every single one of those. So we have 1, 2, 3 on this wall. There's one there and one there on that wall. And then little Miss Andrea sitting on the wall back there. There's one where it tees in there. They were all bang on in the right location. And when we were showing you guys the footings, we showed you there were 3 concrete piers in the middle of the basement. Those are also dead in line with these, because those piers support the lolly columns that support the steel beam that run through there. And the other thing we talked to you guys about when we did the footings were these little wing walls here. We call them deadmen, and those add structural support to this wall from bowing when we do backfill, right? And then we have the same thing back here on that wall, because it's a long straight wall, and it would have so much force against it that it would buckle if you didn't put some sort of support in it. So we always pour our support. And the other thing we do is, instead of 8-inch walls, which is kind of typical in our area, we pour 10-inch walls, and we pour 10-inch walls at a 9-foot basement. We have poured 12-inch walls for 11 and 12-foot basements before, just because it makes them a lot stronger and you could fit a lot more steel in there. We've talked about this when we were on the bidding process of the house, on some of the things to look out for. And when you're quoting concrete, that's one of them. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. You don't want to compare an 8-inch wall quote to a 10-inch wall quote, because they're going to be drastically different, and your 10-inch wall quote should be more expensive. You got to specify what you're looking for, and we would always recommend do the 10-inch wall. It's just stronger, less headaches, cheap insurance for the future. We'll bebop around back to the front of the house for one other thing that you should measure and check before they pour. And again, this is no knock against any trade or any individual people. It's just always better to trust but verify. It's a whole lot easier to measure a form before there's concrete and make a small change than it is to tear a concrete wall out because something was off a little bit. So here you'll see we have a 2-car garage opening for our garage door. We will take the measurement from the inside of the form there to the inside of the form there, make sure it is the correct dimension. And same thing for our single there. You don't want to have to saw cut garage doors in your house. Not fun. not fun at all. So make sure you check those. And then the other thing we have a garage service door. So if you have a service door, you have to have a notch in your foundation, or else you're gonna be taking a huge step down and a huge step up to get into it. That's kind of the quick lap around this project's foundation. A couple quick call outs that we look for. And one of the other things that you're gonna see, we mentioned string lines for square. We also have string lines for straightness. So as they're pouring these walls, they will turn the turnbuckles to keep them straight and on that string line so you don't get a wavy wall or a bowed wall. That's what all those turnbuckles inside are for. You twist them, you can pull the wall in, or you can push the wall out. Spiffy little trick there. So we'll catch you on site in a few days after these are stripped and we start waterproofing, and we'll show you what we do on waterproofing, the whys, and how we lay it out. And then that'll make the whole part of this video. So we'll see you in a few days, but for you, it's a few seconds.
Well, I made it back in time for all of the trucks to be gone. They started at around 7:30 this morning. It is currently 12:25 and they are all gone. I saw 3 trucks by the time I left this morning. So let's take a quick lap around. So I could never drive a truck back here because I'm a giant baby, but it's fun to watch as they maneuvered their entire way around the house, which was kind of nice for them. We did not need to use pump trucks on this one, which does save us some money. But look at this. And they were racing because we have a giant storm on the way. It's supposed to be lots and lots of rain tonight, and I believe hail. So they wanted to beat that all in. Those little blue things right there, those are our beam pockets. We always have to double check them to make sure they're in the right spot. That's where the service door is going to go in the garage. Back to the front of the garage without stepping in anything, because that was a washout spot. This is why I wear rain boots all the time. That was where they were taking the skid steer in and out, so they had one low spot. All of the walls here have been poured. They will probably be back tomorrow to strip the forms. There's the other beam pocket that lines up perfectly with the one on the other side. And then there's another 2 there and 2 there. Pouring for foundation walls. Check.
We have a huge update today. We actually have a sign. Just got that back today. Got it mounted. Way they can scan the QR code and bring them to the project. But actually we do have an update. You just probably saw in the background there that there's a foundation that you can actually see. Yeah, foundation is there. Forms are stripped. Waterproofing's on. And I'm bundled back up in a fleece and a hoodie because you guys hear me complain about Mother Nature all the time, but she drunk, man. It was 80 degrees again the other day and sunny. And this morning I woke up and it was 30 out, which is just fantastic. So you guys saw the forms before we poured, and now here it is with everything stripped. All the black is our waterproofing. We came along, snapped the chalk line to show them where we wanted the waterproofing run up to. It's typically 8 to 12 inches from the top of foundation because that's where you're going to put your final grade to. You don't want the waterproofing showing up above the dirt. It just doesn't look really good. Wouldn't hurt anything, but it's just not aesthetically pleasing. So I'm gonna show you guys one quick thing that you need to do to pass inspection, at least in our area. The inspector needs to see that you have your drain tile next to your footing. So even though this is all backfilled with stone the whole way down and around the house, you can't actually see the drain tile. So we open up a small section so he can come in and see that we have it. He gave us the thumbs up today. So while I'm here, I'm gonna cover that back up with stone. So it's good to go, because tomorrow we are backfilling this foundation, and we don't want a bunch of clay and mud going down on top of our drain tile because it doesn't drain water quite like stone does. So you'll notice we have these mats randomly placed on the walls, or what would seem to be randomly placed. But if you actually look, see, there's a beam pocket in line with that there. A beam pocket there, and a beam pocket there. And then on that side, there's another one over there in one spot, and there's one there in that spot where that beam pocket's at. So there's a reason for that. Anywhere where there's an inside corner, like that little guy there and that little guy there, it increases the probability of cracks propagating there because those corners are stress risers. So these mats allow the hydrostatic pressure that's against the foundation to quickly drain down to your drain tile. So it takes pressure off of those weaker spots in the foundation. So you'll also see if you have a step foundation because you're doing a walkout, everywhere where there's a step down, you're gonna wanna put a drainage mat because again, you're gonna have a corner there and corners equal stress risers. So you wanna take the stress off the foundation in those spots. We talked about the dead men when we were out last. So there's our dead man for that wall and our dead man for that wall. And again, waterproofing is gonna go all the way around the foundation, except on the very front of the garage, because the garage is gonna be full of sand. But on the common wall inside of the garage, that is the foundation wall for the basement. That's where you place your waterproofing there. And let's take a jump over there real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right, so similar thing here. You see we have no waterproofing. Well, it's because that's not actually the basement there. Right, that's just a hole that's about to be filled with sand underneath the patio. So our actual foundation wall for the basement is what gets waterproofed. That way, if any moisture's inside of there, it's not pushing its way through into the house. So same thing, front garage wall does not need to be waterproofed, but everywhere that is a concrete wall to the inside of the house or the basement, that'll be waterproofed. This is all getting filled with sand tomorrow. This is all getting sand. That's getting sand. That's getting sand. You will be surprised if you build your own house or if you have somebody build a house for you, just how much money you're going to spend on sand and stone. It is alarming. In our area, stone this year is up to about $700 a truckload, which is crazy. It's about 20 tons. I don't remember off the top of my head what we have budgeted for this project. I think we have 13 or 15,000 in the budget just for sand and stone. So sometimes those are things like you wouldn't think about as an owner builder or somebody who hasn't done construction before. You're not going to think about how much that stuff costs and how much is going to go into the project. But I'm going to tell you, it's a heavy hit. That's for sure. And this isn't that big of a house. Well, okay, the house is kind of big at 3,400 square feet, but the actual footprint's small. It's a super efficient footprint. I think we have like 1,580 square feet of basement. Now, if you have a big ranch at 3,300 square feet, that's double the stone for the basement floor, right? That's gonna add a ton of cost. It's one of the reasons that ranches are the most expensive cost per square foot, and 2-story is the cheapest, right? All else being equal, right? Similar design, same type of selections, just two like kind houses, just one a ranch and one a 2-story. Ranch is always gonna be more because you've got more stone, more sand, more concrete, more roof. It's all expensive stuff. It all adds up quick. So one thing, if you were paying attention, you saw a bunch of little spikes sticking out of the top of the foundation and all along the walls, right? So those are all going to be your mounting studs for your pressure treated lumber that's going to go down, right? It's going to go down. You're going to get a washer and a nut that go over it, clamp it all down. That's what's going to hold your floor structure down to your foundation. So don't forget those when you're pouring your foundation. If you do forget them, it's really not the end of the world because they make anchors that you can drill a hole and then it's like a wedge style. As you tighten it down, the wedge opens, locks it in place, and they work just fine. But that's a lot of holes to go around and hammer drill on the top of a foundation. I don't know about you, but that is not my idea of fun. So much better just to wet set your anchor bolts. That way they're there. And one thing I forgot to touch on earlier, which I should have, is all right, we've been waiting a while to backfill this thing. And there's a reason for that, because concrete takes time to build strength. Even though you can strip the forms the day after you pour it, it doesn't mean that it's strong. Depending on the mix, everybody kind of says maximum cure strength is, I think, 28 days. And it's all dependent on temperature and the mix and a few other things, but 28 days is usually a pretty safe bet. For foundations, a lot of people say wait 7 days to backfill. We usually wait a minimum of 10, and since it's been chillier out, we waited 14 days on this one. just we don't want to take any risks damaging the foundation during backfill. I've seen someone, and it's nobody personally that I know, that backfilled too early and actually just caved a wall on a foundation. It's a bad day for everybody involved. And then there's one other thing you want to make sure you do before you backfill, which you guys have seen this little guy sticking through here. That is the sewer tap. And he comes through here, goes through the wall, pokes out into the basement, and then there's a water line that pokes out the wall there. Your plumbers will not be happy with you if this was completely full and they had to come in and dig all this out just to get this pipe in. And this pipe goes down through there and ties into the sewer main out there. Do not backfill your foundations before you get your plumbers in to do that. It'll cost you a bunch of extra money. They're not going to be happy with you. It's just not ideal. So that pretty much wraps up this episode's update. If you guys find this stuff helpful, do us a huge favor, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and we'll get you an answer. We'll catch you guys on the next one.